You know what? I feel good. I'm out and about talking to our members across the country. Feels like I've been around the country twice at this point. But my message is resonating, and I think I'm winning the argument that my plan, my priorities are the right one for our country at what's going to be a challenging time. I want to get a grip of inflation. I want to support those who most need our help through the difficult months ahead. And then I want to build to a better future for everybody. And that's making sure that we tackle all the big challenges we face. We build a country that we can support everyone's aspirations. And that's what I've been talking to people about. And it's resonating, and I'm going to keep going till the end. Well, look, I'm actually finding when I'm out and about, I don't know, you were just in this meeting, right? You can see the support there is. Lots of people who previously were undecided are actually all saying that they now want to support me. They've heard what I've had to say. So, look, I'm going to keep going till the end of the contest and talking to as many people as I can. But I'm really proud, as you said, that I had the support of the most of my parliamentary colleagues, of any candidate, but also that support was drawn from every part of our parliamentary party. So it was not just one particular type of MP, and that hopefully gives people confidence that I'm the type of leader who can unite people, bring people together when this is over. Because ultimately, we're part of the same team on the Conservative Party, we're part of the same family, and we need to focus on the opposition, the Labour Party, and make sure that we're united to win the next election, and that's what I'd like to do. No, gosh, no, not at all. Our party has got an incredible record in promoting people who are good at what they do. And whatever happens in this leadership contest, we're going to have either our third female Prime Minister or our second ethnic minority Prime Minister after Disraeli, or first Prime Minister who's not white. And that's the Conservative Party that produced all of that. And so I think that's actually something that's something that we all should be really proud of. The fact that, look, I've already been Chancellor, right? I mean, I was a Chancellor who was able to, light with my kids and my wife, light our Diwali diyas and do our sparklers and Rangoli on Downing Street, right? And I know lots of your readers will have probably watched a video of me doing that, and people still talk to me about that. It was a proud moment for me. It was a proud moment for millions of British Asians that are here, but also I think a proud moment for our country, because in our country that was possible. And I think that's the extraordinary thing about Britain. It's why so many of us are here. But we have a bright future ahead, and I'm hoping that I'm the person that can lead us to that place. Those things. This is about policies. I think it's about character. It's about who's going to be the right leader to deal with the economic challenges we face, who's got the right vision to reform our public services like the NHS, to make sure that our communities and streets are safe from crime, who can build the education system that is the envy of the world, who can tackle illegal migration. And these are all the things that people, I think, are going to make their decision on. And I think I'm the right leader, the right Prime Minister for these times, for this moment, and I can get us through what's ahead and lead us to a brighter future. Of course it has. I wouldn't be. I've already got personal vested interest. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for that. So yes, it has. But look, migration has got to be legal. It's got to be fair. And I think when people see that the system's not working like that, when people are coming here in small boats illegally, it undermines trust in the system, and that's wrong. And that's not a good thing. And I've set out a very detailed plan to do whatever it takes to get to grips with illegal migration, because I think that's important for restoring trust, it's important for our security, and it's important for ensuring that our country remains proudly, compassionately welcoming of those who genuinely need help, as we have done, most notably with Ukraine, but also with people from Hong Kong, Afghanistan, Syria. That's our history as a country, but we need to maintain that, and that we do that by making sure the system works properly and fairly, that people coming here are coming here on our terms, and that's what I will deliver as PM. Oh, I mean, obviously, it's been fantastic, right? I mean, you've got people who are serving in cabinet right now. We've got people that I've been meeting everywhere, and I think everyone knows the contribution of lots of different migrant communities to our country has been very powerful. But it works best when people coming here also are integrating into our communities, and I think that's what is really important. It's got to work both ways, because I can be both British and Asian, and it's completely comfortable for me to have both of those identities. But it's vitally important that everyone coming here from whatever background integrates into our way of life, our society, our values, our culture. That's really, really important. And that's something that I think in general we do really well as a country, but it's important for having trust in the system that is happening. Otherwise people are going to say, hang on, if you're coming here but you don't feel that you need to integrate and subscribe to our set of values, then that's not right. And I think that, and I would agree with that. I don't think that is right. So as long as that's happening, then it's great. And as long as it's happening legally and in a controlled fashion. Well, I was a Chancellor who oversaw very significant extra funding for the NHS, and so I think everyone can rest assured that the NHS is safe in my hands in that regard. I also grew up in an NHS family. My dad was a GP, my mum, as you said, ran the local chemist, which I recently visited. But we do need to make sure that we do reform the NHS, because the answer can't always be more and more money, because if we do that, it's going to be hard to keep people's taxes low. We need to get reform and efficiency out of the NHS, and that means that we can then put resources where we really need them. And in general, I'm a big supporter of pharmacies. Having grown up and worked in one, I know the great job that pharmacists do, and over time, they've done more and more. I mean, a pharmacy today does far more than it did when I worked for my mum in her dispensary or in the shop, and I know when I visit pharmacies now, they're very keen to do more, and I think there are opportunities for the NHS to allow pharmacies to do more, and that's something that we should definitely work through, because it's care that's very close to people, it's very quick, it's very convenient, people respond really well to it, and if that frees up some of the pressure elsewhere in our healthcare system, that can be a good thing. So it's certainly something that I would be open to looking at. So, I think those terms are actually quite charged, and I don't think they're particularly helpful. I experienced racism, of course I did, and it stung me in a way that very few things have. But I take enormous comfort from the fact that the things that maybe happened to me as a kid almost certainly just would not happen today, or if they did happen, people will react to them very, very differently to they did when I was younger, and that shows the enormous progress we've made as a country in tackling these issues. Look, is there always work to do? There's always work to do, right? Because every country, every society is on a process of continuously improving and bettering ourselves, and tolerance is obviously a part of that, and racism is abhorrent. But I think it's wrong to say anything other than that our country has got a fantastic track record on this compared to almost any other place that I know. It's improved immeasurably, and of course we constantly seek ways to make it better. So I've talked about this a lot. I think in our country actually people judge you ultimately by your character and by your actions, not by what's in your bank account. And people can see what I've done, right? I've been Chancellor through a pretty tough period over the last 2.5 years, and I was the Chancellor who delivered for the country, particularly those who really needed help. And I did that I did that at the beginning of the pandemic with things like the furlough scheme, but I also did it most recently when we thought energy bills were going up by a certain amount. I announced support, and I think it was widely acknowledged by all independent commentators that the support I announced was particularly targeted on the most vulnerable, the people who most needed our help, and that's what I would do as Prime Minister. But also, as you talked about, I wasn't born like this. I grew up differently and worked hard for what I have, and I'm proud of that. And I actually think we should have a country that supports and celebrates people who are working hard and building a better life for them and their kids. That's a very conservative value, supporting that type of aspiration. And I want to build a government that supported that and have a country that I think supports that as well. Yeah, so this is definitely an increasing challenge for businesses, which is why why recently I announced a cut in business rates for particularly retail, hospitality and leisure businesses by 50% this year, which is a very significant tax cut for those businesses. We also cut their national insurance bills by £1,000 for small businesses, so that also puts more money in their bank accounts. And I created a program called Help to Grow, which I strongly advise all business owners to have a look at, which is a heavily government subsidised program to provide entrepreneurs, small business owners with a mini MBA at world-class institutions around the UK, but also access to software, digital software that can help enhance the productivity and profitability of their businesses, because it's an area which, having looked at it for a long time, we lag behind other countries, and it's part of the explanation for some of our productivity challenges. So I created this program which can help turbocharge small and medium-sized businesses, help take them to the next level, and I urge everyone to go online, have a look at Help to Grow. But look, I know this is a challenge going forward. Of course I'd look at it as Prime Minister, and again, people can look at my actions during the pandemic where I moved swiftly and quite comprehensively to support businesses through what I knew was a challenging period, and ensure that we didn't have a wave of business failures that people were predicting. We didn't have a wave of unemployment that people were predicting, and that's because of the interventions I put in place. So I think people can trust me that I know what to do when the moment demands. Oh, I mean, obviously I seek a very close relationship, and I recently gave a speech at the UK-India Awards, which talked a little bit about my observations on the relationship between our two countries and what I wanted to see from it, and I wanted to make sure it was a balanced relationship, actually, because we talk about it almost in one direction, but I wanted to make sure that the benefits are flowing both ways, and we can learn as much from India as India can learn from us. So I point you to my speech that I made, which contains some further thoughts on that. But India is a very close ally and partner of the UK, so that has been the case anyway under Prime Minister Johnson's leadership, and it would be something that I would endeavour to continue, obviously.